FSI greetings, my name is Ross Ariel. You're welcome to the Entrepreneur Circle. Today we're in Newtown and we're coming to visit a company called Wink, run by a power couple out of Canada. Let's check it out. Brother name is wife Chantelle. As I said, I won't butcher your last name. Please introduce yourselves and let the people know who you are.
Absolutely. Greetings, Brother Ross. Yes, Nathan Agadzi.
Chantelle, Louis Agadzi.
Nice.
Yes.
So where are y'all coming in from?
Canada. Toronto. I'm originally from Toronto. Okay. My family's actually Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yeah, my family's Ghanaian, but I was born and raised in Toronto.
You were born in Toronto?
Yeah, I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For myself, Canadian, born in Montreal. Spent many years in Trinidad, actually. My family's from Trinidad.
Sure.
And then, decided with Nathan, let's see what Ghana's about, really.
Okay, so what were you doing in Canada before you came here?
Well, I originally was going to be playing football, American football.
Okay.
Right? Once I graduated school, Bachelor in Economics. Then I ended up falling into financial services.
Mm-hmm. Falling into finance.
Fell into literally. Just to give you kind of background, I met Chantelle in Montreal, and she was actually my math tutor. So that's why I said fall into finance.
Yeah. So I said the right thing.
So fortunately, because she helped me make sure I passed my classes to stay playing football.
Yeah.
When we graduated, it was frustrating finding work. And then I got kind of like a call to come and see an opportunity, ended up being financial services. Okay. And from there, I got involved, and within 10 years, we were able to open up a couple locations across Canada. And now we're here.
Yeah. For myself, I graduated engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, actually. Okay. So worked as an aerospace engineer for a number of companies within Canada for over 10 years. Okay. And then really just got tired of it. Fell out of love with the profession. Okay. Looked at Nathan in terms of working as an entrepreneur, and saw that
I'm sorry. So you were doing your own thing at the time.
Yes, I was a self-employed entrepreneur. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was working as an employee, but just seeing the differences, and he got to a point where he was actually making similar or more to what I was making, but yet he had more time. He had more freedom with the family. Right? So I actually got very jealous, and I said, you know what, forget this. Why am I wasting my time? Let's do this together.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just literally started working together, and we've been doing that for years now.
Okay, so what was the first business y'all got into together?
I'd have to say it was financial services.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say financial services?
I was a financial advisor, so we're looking at insurance, investments, providing strategies to clients to help them, eliminate debt. Show them how to create wealth through understanding, because when we understand the system that we live in, especially in North America, we all, have an understanding of what the banks, are there for, but most people are not really getting to where they need to be financially by the time it comes to retirement. So they would sit down with someone like myself, where we would put together a game plan and strategize using, whether income they have or whatever assets they have or liabilities, and identify how to get them on track for their goals financially, short-term and long-term. Right? So while doing that, we were able to educate quite a bit of families, and Chantelle was there to, we're like a partnership in business. Yeah. So it felt good knowing that, hey, we could always work together in financial services. When most people think financial services, they're not thinking one working with your partner, or even, I never thought I'd be in finance, especially having a math tutor going to school. But when you understood the fact that we all deal with money, it goes through our fingers. It's like we have holes in our pockets. Our accounts are usually empty. So for individuals who have been educated, we're saying to ourselves, well, let's continue to educate. Just because we're done school and we graduate doesn't mean we can stop educating ourselves. So originally it was a matter of how could we learn how to create wealth, get back tax money, get our first property. And while we're doing that, let's learn about money.
Yep. And what I really loved is the fact that we didn't just do it for our clients. We were able to recruit, train individuals to then also go out and do that, right? So for myself, I work more with the administrative part of the business. So really teaching individuals how to go out and do these types and gain these skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well. So you're somewhat seasoned. At least you've gotten your feet wet in the field of entrepreneurship. What did you see about Ghana that made you feel you could come and do business here?
Well, the fact is that it's not like we just came to Ghana one time, all right?
Okay.
We've been married for a number of years. Over that time, we've actually come to Ghana for a number of times.
Okay.
And each time we kept coming, we just saw a different Ghana.
Sure.
There was so much growth, there was so much evolution just in the country over, let's say, a 10-year period.
Absolutely.
First time we came, we saw one Ghana. Second time we came back, we're like, whoa, hold on. Things are different. You know, we came back again, saw a totally different side of Ghana.
Sure.
Right? And just the fact as business owners, I mean, you're always looking for opportunity. And people, it's sort of like you have a choice. Either you see a problem and you complain about it, or you see a problem and you try to solve it. And every time we kept coming back, we just kept seeing more problems solved.
Right.
But solved.
Okay.
Right? And
Still
solutions,
problems, yes.
still problems, but solutions being developed. Right? So it comes to a point where if the government isn't doing it, then individuals came and stepped in and were doing it. And that formed business opportunities.
And we're also at a point where we understood that we have a certain confidence with our ability to get things done.
Okay.
So coming to Ghana, you know, and I used to come as a child, you know, when I was younger. And then life happens, right? So it wasn't until literally we graduated, it's like, okay, let's go back to Ghana, 2009.
How about that?
It wasn't. There wasn't as much food to eat, right? It was, and then, as we said, we came back again 2016. Saw, we can eat at more places, right? So when we realized that, okay, well, let's look and let's see if we could create an opportunity where we could still live, but we can create multiple wins across the board. So looking at Ghana and looking at the possibility of a brighter future, or creating these opportunities, we said, okay, let's try. Let's see what it's about. So I think it was May 2021 we came for a few weeks, and we were literally traveling, trying to see what Ghana was about. As adults, we came with no children in this case. Right? And we literally said, what kind of opportunities could be here? We had a list, maybe 20, 30.
Yeah, almost 30 businesses that just came to mind. And it's really just seeing little issues and saying, you know what, how can we solve that? How can we strategize? And just using the entrepreneurial spirit to say, you know what, what's the easiest way to solve it, and what are the possibilities?
That's right.
If we do solve it.
That's right.
Okay. So you said at least 20 different ideas just from your visits.
Yeah.
What made you settle in on Wink?
Okay.
And while we are there, why don't you tell us what Wink is and what you do?
Okay, so Wink, we provide virtual, support services to businesses across the globe.
Okay.
So in the form of virtual administration, sales, customer service, bookkeeping support. Okay, so we realize as entrepreneurs in North America that there's many tasks that need to get done, but they don't all necessarily need to be done by you.
Right.
So we realized that we could have used some extra support. Like she would be like my office manager, and help me with paper. I can talk to someone, but sometimes when you're doing the paperwork, you're like, okay, can I get some support?
Yeah.
So we saw an opportunity where we can bridge that gap.
Okay.
And it's funny because Wink, as a virtual assistance company, was kind of on the bottom of the list. It wasn't like our primary thought.
Sure.
Right? It was only when we kind of touched down or were in the process of making the transition did we say, you know what? I think this would be the best thing. Why? Because we can use the skills that we've already dealt with. We've already been dealing with clients. We already know how to deal with paperwork. We already know how to work on the computers and how to do sales, bookkeeping.
And also recruiting assistants, training them, developing them. This is something that we did on a regular basis without even thinking about it.
Okay.
Right? So just being able to say, you know what, we can take those skills and we take our leadership skills and bring it here and just create employment opportunities. And on top of that, we also saw that there was a problem, right? Just as in North America, a lot of graduates, not enough opportunity.
That's right.
Very same thing here, right? Maybe even worse in that sense, right? A lot of people graduate from schools with great skills, but the opportunity isn't there for them.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in essence, you are exporting Ghana's talents. right?
Yeah.
Pretty much like they do in India, pretty much like
That's
they're
right.
doing now in Kenya. However, in my experience, Ghanaians as employees are not really precision oriented. How do you extract what you need for clients? You say your clients, the majority of them are in North America, correct?
Currently Eastern Standard Time.
Exactly. So how do you extract the standards that are generally required for that market?
Okay. Can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
So firstly, when we say exploit, I think we want to look at it as actually empowering Ghana's talent.
Okay.
Because the position that we want to take is through a leadership approach, where when someone comes on board, first off, we set a certain expectation. You're not dealing with Africans or Ghanaians per se. They're in a different place in the Eastern Standard Time, for example.
Right.
So we understand that culture. We understand that business. We understand being on time and doing everything to a certain standard.
Right.
So we want to be that bridge to say, look, we can provide leadership and hands-on training, on a daily basis and a weekly basis to help them understand how to better deal with people, to help them understand how to work on the computers, because they may have used computers, in school a little bit, but in a regular sense, it's not that. So we want to create that opportunity where we can now provide the hands-on training. We do an orientation, right, to make sure that they're familiar with how things work, even the language, the communication, right? Sometimes how they talk. I tell them, are you able to throw your voice? Could you sound a little bit different? Not because you should be different, but because we're working for an employer that is not actually here.
As Ethan said, it's more enhancing Ghana's talent. There's so much talent here that's already here, right? It's just a matter of giving fine little tweaks, right? So for example, we find a lot of Ghanaians, they're very extremely polite, right? In North America, it's not so much that. So for example, having a conversation with somebody, a Ghanaian will say, please, may I help you? Whereas we sort of tell them, stop the please. You have to kind of remove that from the vocabulary, right? And be a bit more direct. So just these small tweaks just makes the world of a difference.
Now you're dealing with people from North America. Are they actually communicating with them directly?
Yes, they're communicating with them directly. So they can have a meeting with the business owner. So they can sit down, some of these our assistants are sitting down with business owners that are running some successful businesses, right? So being able to put them in that position.
And how long, I'm sorry, don't mean to cut you. How long does it take to get a new employee to the position that you are comfortable allowing them to speak directly with your clients?
I think it's just a matter of setting the expectations. Right?
And organizational structure as well helps with that.
Definitely. So, we have an organizational structure where we have management, we have team leads, we have assistant leads, right? And it comes down to then the assistants. So our upper management is more experienced in that sense, right? So for a new assistant that comes in, they're automatically paired up with somebody that can mentor them, train them, provide them that coaching.
So there's that process.
Completely. And we let all assistants know we're a hiring assistants, but we're always looking for leadership.
True.
And leadership isn't in others. Leadership is in ourselves.
That's right. I don't care what country you're in. If you seek towards outside sources for leadership, then you're looking in the wrong place.
Exactly.
What seat are you in? Whose teeth do you brush in the morning? I'm pretty sure it's your own.
Exactly.
Right? So we want to make sure that we take that ownership approach and that leadership approach, because if they stay, we want assistants to be here for the long term, right? Because they'll get a chance to get promoted in the organization and put themselves in a better position. But if they decide that they have other endeavors, well, I hope you leave a better person. And you can do more for Ghana, more for Africa.
How do you source great talent?
Network. I think that's been a great source.
When you say network, what does that mean?
We have, for example, a WhatsApp group that we're in, where they have other foreigners who are here, and they may know families. So we just post up in there, hey, we're looking for these type of individuals that are open for work. send an email to this email address. Right?
There's also employment agencies, right, that exist here that we would work with in terms of getting great talent. There's universities.
Partner up with some universities.
Exactly.
You partner up with the universities?
Yeah, so we've reached out to universities to speak with the alumni, the representation of alumni, so that they're aware that there's a company in Ghana that's looking to provide working opportunity to their graduates.
Yeah. So, and there's even within the universities, a lot of them have job posting arenas.
That's right.
Or you can post up job opportunities, and then the candidates would reply. So honestly, finding great talent is not very difficult.
Wonderful.
In that sense.
It is a process.
It is a process.
Right.
And all of our candidates do go through that process. It's not a matter of, okay, you give us your CV and you're hired. No. We do a very extensive set of checks before a candidate is
Give me an
selected.
example. What is involved?
So we do a telephone interview, in-person interview. Then we would have the candidate come in. We would do an assessment test where they're tested for their English proficiency, their ability to complete tasks within a certain time frame, and their understanding of the job requirements. Right?
And communication is huge. So a lot of times, like, if I'm going to have an interview with you, I'm probably just going to see how you communicate with me. Right? If you can communicate with me, then you can communicate with with other business owners. Right? So if we can be clear and you can get your point across, that you're in a step. You have a step in the right direction. So right now, if you can work on the computer, right, efficiently, then that's even better.
Of course.
All right.
Of course. Now you mentioned something, and you mentioned communications, and of course, the communications that you have with your staff is probably the most important communications. How did you learn to manage people? That's not a foregone, that takes time. That is a learning curve. How did you get that skill?
Fell down a couple of times managing people. Over time, we're always seeking mentorship. So through the experience of dealing with people across different industries, we've really gained a great understanding of how to sit down with someone, reason with them, and get their perspective. To now work with them on their level, but let them know, hey, I'm not going to stay there. I'm just coming to speak with you there so that we can both get higher, right? So that's the main focus that we look at when we're dealing with people is we're all different. We all have different skills, different strengths, different weaknesses. I'm not going to look negatively on there, but I'm going to look to you to now grow and excel. And if you can do that, you're putting yourself in a good position because a lot of the times the jobs that we put some of these candidates on, they may not know it right off the bat, but we give them time to orientate and get familiar. And if you're not able to do that, then it's going to be a problem.
So you mentioned learning from mentors and, for the most part, learning from life and doing business in general.
Yes.
Are there any books that you can call to that were inspirational? Or?
Yeah, like the book I always talk about is The Art of War, Sun Tzu.
Sure.
And the reason why I love that book, and I think you got me Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was also a great book.
Yes.
The Art of War specifically because a lot of times, like, we know life doesn't always work the way you want. We all want something,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that we all have to suffer to get that something.
Right.
So what I love about The Art of War is it talks about understanding your surroundings, understanding your environment, understanding who you're dealing. Do you have to give it all right away? No, you can strategize to make it such that we can all win without any of us getting hurt.
Nick?
That's where win comes from.
Exactly.
Right? We create that win-win scenario across the board. All stakeholders have a chance to win with Wink.
Sure.
So it's important that when we deal with our clients, for example, or our assistants, like, it's not I'm your boss and you're my employee. No, we're in business together. It's not you're my client and I'm providing support services. No. We're in business together. Even that's your entity, this is our entity.
Right.
But how can we both grow collectively? How can all three of us grow collectively? Whoever's involved needs to be able to reach that point where they feel better about themselves.
Exactly.
Okay. And we definitely create that culture in our organization where it's understood that we are creating that win-win-win scenario.
True.
Right? Where as we work as assistants, if we do our best and help our clients really grow their business, well, then their business is going to grow. They're going to be happier, right? That means that there's more room within the organizations for promotions, for advancements, all of these things.
Sure.
Right? So they're definitely incentivized to give their best.
Sure. What would you say has been the greatest lesson you've learned so far?
Greatest lesson? I learned a bunch of lessons.
Definitely. I would say for me, the biggest challenge is really the work-life balance, right? Whereas in North America, we had more of that support.
Okay.
Out here.
I see your mom here today.
Yes, she is.
So back in Canada, you had her,
Yeah, we had her. We had a real village, right? That also supported us.
I know that you mentioned that you are from here, so
Yes.
you have family here.
Yes.
It's not automatic? I mean, still it's
not the
family,
same.
but it's not the same. You didn't
not the
grow
same.
up with them,
Correct.
and still different cultures
Correct.
and so forth. So when we come here, there's a sense of isolation that you're speaking on, and therefore,
That's it.
your time is.
Yeah, it's just being able to balance that. I mean, I don't want to say that. Well, I want to say that our family here did support us.
Of course.
100%. They were very supportive in us being able to come out here, settle,
Okay.
and even just helping us with the children in terms of getting them in school,
That's right.
school that they absolutely love, these types of things,
That's
right?
That's right.
So we definitely had the support, but it's also not the same thing, right?
Of course.
So just being able to really create that work-life balance, right, and dealing with the children, and making sure that they have everything that they need in order for them to thrive, making sure that we have what we need in order for us to thrive and for the business to thrive. That was sort of the hardest thing for me.
And I think another, you mentioned, like something you've learned, to be on top of things in terms of if you hire someone to do a job, make sure you're monitoring and you're ensuring the job gets done correctly and on the time that you wish it. Don't just think you can, and then turn your back and then come back and for sure it's going to be done exactly how you want it. You need to have input because perspective is different.
Exactly.
Right? That, someone may feel this is done, and you're like, no, it's not done the way I want it.
Exactly.
But if you're not there to say it, then you can sleep in your own bed and enjoy it.
This podcast is sponsored by Earthseed. Like, subscribe, and support by clicking the link below. Okay, so did you start a limited liability, a partnership, or sole enterprise?
Enterprise.
An enterprise. Okay,
Yes.
so why did you choose that structure?
Because I'm a Ghanaian, so the first thing that we wanted to do when we came here was get ourselves established. Right? We saw Ghana as a great opportunity to actually have a life.
True.
Right? Not that North America we didn't have a life, but we all want change. We want to, see what opportunities are out there and want to be able to live a great life. And we saw Ghana as a real place. So we said, we got to come here and get our documentation. So I'm a Ghanaian, officially, right? My wife's in the process of becoming one, the children, okay? And we saw the enterprise as the simple solution to get the ball rolling.
True.
All right? Without having to jump through hoops and put a bunch of money down that we don't have.
Exactly.
Right?
And I asked why you chose that structure. I'm glad that you chose that. Like myself, I chose limited liability. And that based on my limited knowledge at the time of the differences between the different options and different structures. And what I bought myself was basically a huge liability to GRA, that is Ghana Revenue Authority, and with a limited liability, they're assuming that you're a corporation.
Yes, and a huge entity.
Exactly.
Yes.
With so they want to see your annual returns. The things that are required of us is significantly more than if I'd have just said, I'm an enterprise. I'm a one-man shop. I'm building it. I have a partner. Or I have this or whatever the case might be. But so I encourage others to recognize that you don't necessarily want to overextend yourself.
That's right.
Coming in as simple as possible
That's right.
and setting it up from the ground up gives you a great advantage and a whole lot less liability.
That's right. That's right. And even that process alone, even setting that up, it's like I said, it's everything is a process. You gotta enjoy it. and make sure that you become better, once you're done, so you can teach others, or provide education. So like we were in the GRA, multiple locations.
That's Ghana Revenue, I think.
Ghana Revenue, yeah. We were in the SNP building, right? We were in, we went to the business registration. We sat there for a couple
the ministries,
hours,
the multiple ministries.
Right.
It takes time.
Right.
It takes time. It's not as in North America. You can actually register a business not even being there.
That's right.
Right? You just go online, doop doop doop, and it's done.
Right.
All right. Here, you kind of need to be here.
True.
Right? Just the way the system is set up, and it's you have to be willing to go and invest that time.
Sure.
All right. Find out information. Ask the right questions.
Yeah.
All right.
So as this being your first time doing business outside of North America, how would you rate the experience in terms of difficult on a scale of, say, 1 to 10?
Are we comparing to North America, or just the experience itself?
No, given you are coming from North America,
Yes.
so it's relative what you call difficult.
Yes.
So how would you rate this process on a scale of 1 to 10?
10 being not good.
10 being very difficult.
Very difficult. Okay.
I would give it maybe a 3 or 4,
Okay.
that type of thing. But then we chose the simpler route of the enterprise.
Okay.
Naturally, I definitely see the limited liability being more of a 7, 8, 9.
Right.
Right? But the reason why I said 3 or 4 is that it is possible.
Yes.
Right? To me, like a 10 is more, we had to give up. We couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it is possible. However, were we always super comfortable? Were we sitting in a beautiful AC room all the time? Just No, not at all. All right? Sometimes you literally had to just put in the time and find the right person to talk to.
That's right.
Now, speaking of that, did you solicit any legal counsel, or did you have any accountants that you spoke to that kind of advised you along the way?
We did.
We looked at several
Several.
a few different individuals who were in those fields for guidance. Absolutely. We always do our best to seek guidance so that we can step in the right direction. Right?
And we definitely recommend for anybody to do that. I mean, whether you're in North America, you need to talk to people. You're doing business there, you need to talk to people that understand the environment there. So doing business out here, you definitely need to speak to the right people and get the right advice.
Now, how long have you been in business so far?
It will officially, it's been
No, I won't say officially. How long have you been actually earning? Because you can start doing business without being officially in
Exactly.
business. So
okay, so we're not even 12 months in.
No.
Officially doing business.
True. True. And how would you say the environment is for? Is it conducive to doing business? What's been the growth rate like so far?
Fortunately, we always do the best we can to prepare. Like we like to, hindsight is 20/20, right? So I'm not trying to look behind, I'm trying to look ahead to figure out. So we do our best to prepare for issues. Like when we originally in the office, through my family's place, they had a commercial building, so we were able to get an office there.
Right.
And get an internet was a process, right?
In Abasoka?
Yeah. Originally.
In Accra? Why?
Because sometimes the buildings stopped the frequency, or they didn't have the fiber.
Yes.
Yeah, the cable. They just got the cable. So by the time we came in there, we kind of started with just the broadband.
Yeah.
But when you're on the phone, when you're on Zoom, when you're dealing with clients and across and the thing is, there's already that idea that Africa has lights. Yes. Okay. So there's that. So we want to make sure that when we're on the call, there's no drop calls. Right? When you're on the Zoom, it's not stopping and pausing, even though we speak to clients in North America and their internet is cutting out. But that's normal, that perception. So these were some of the things that's like, okay, well, it takes time for the installation, or you have to pay up front. Just a different way of doing things where you have to get familiar. It's like you have to start to work with the system that you're living in. Don't go against it, because you're just going to cause yourself frustration. But if you work with it, hey, that's that win-win we're looking at. Okay, excellent.
So you're married. And You're
Yes.
doing business together.
Yes.
Now, I'm in business with my wife as well. So I'm fully aware of the dynamics that are created when doing business
Absolutely.
with your special one. What are some of the challenges that brings to the table, and how do y'all navigate that?
First of all, partnership is power, okay? I preface.
Well said. Well said.
So I think one of the hardest parts is knowing when to separate the two.
I'm sorry. We hear, what is it, the call to prayer? Or
Yes.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Just so our viewers know, you're in Newtown,
Yes.
which is the heart of Accra.
Yes.
It's also a Muslim town.
Yes.
So this is normal.
Normal. 3 times, 4 times outside the day?
A couple times a day.
Yes.
I mean, for us, we have, with our telephone systems, our computers actually buffer the sound.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so I cut you off. So how is it that you manage the dynamics?
Yeah, so being able to separate the two and still making sure the spark is alive. But being in business, sometimes you're like, I'm talking to my business partner, I'm talking to my wife. Am I talking to my business partner, talking to my husband? Right? So it's like you want to be able to separate the two and know that you have to create some kind of balance and realize that we both have different perspectives.
Right.
So and understand that we're in this 100% together. So if you're saying something, it's not against me, it's not to make me feel, you're not doing anything ill-minded where you're gonna put me in a worse situation, which is gonna fall on you.
Exactly.
Right? So with that understanding and the decision to even come here in the first place,
Right.
created the ability for us to work together. Now we've been working together, and people kind of think we're, because we're always together, like 24 hours a day almost.
Yeah.
Right. So
And that started before Ghana.
that was before that.
Yeah. So we already had that type of relationship, right? Where we've been working together for over 10 years in business, and just being able to create that synergy, right? We actually coach couples in how to work together in business.
Oh, wonderful.
Right? So it gave us that higher level of understanding, if some would say overstanding, right? In order to then be able to really act on it and carry it through.
True.
Yeah, it's
So I might need to come and see you.
it's a real process.
It really is. It really
And
is.
an ongoing process.
It does not end.
Right.
It does not end. And because we're big on partnership. Like I said, partnership is power. We have a partnership in business. We have a partnership in life. As life partners. We also have a partnership with our children. Right. So even coming here, they were part of that process.
True.
We had to make sure that they were included, because it's not just 2 individuals on the island. There's 4 of us.
Exactly.
That are on the boat and need to get to the other side, right? So yes, this is what it is.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
We work together. Sometimes people may have thought that they couldn't make it, but then they said, the person to the left, the person to the right, the person above, the person behind, let's go together as a family. This was glorious.
That's
Top
it.
of the mountain. We feel charged, energy up.
Yeah.
So, we're constantly working on ourselves, working on our relationships, and some of the experiences we've had over the past, 10, 15 years being together and working in business and learning from other mentors, other people who are in partnership that have done well, have given us the strength and the confidence to say, we can make it happen.
True.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something about organizational chart earlier. I assume that you had one prior to setting up your business. All right. So, how did you determine the roles you would play, and how vigilant have you been to sticking to your roles and not overlapping and making it easier for the two of you to do your thing?
So, for us, we've learned in the past that the roles themselves aren't really as important as us being able to play to our skill set, right? Play to your strengths. And understanding our strengths and understanding each other's strengths, understanding our parts where we may be set back, right? I don't want to call it weaknesses, it's more parts that we have to work on, right? And understanding for each other. So being able to see how we can complement each other as opposed to how we can clash, and then determining, okay, well, those sets of skills will be more within this realm of this is what the title would be.
Okay.
Right? But a lot of it's more, even if you hold the title, it's more on, well, you're better at this.
Right.
You should take the lead on that.
Okay, so who's the boss?
I wear the pants, but she puts on the belt.
Okay. That's a very correct answer. Back to your business. Would you say that it's a scalable business?
Absolutely.
All right.
We set it up originally to be able to scale.
Perfect.
Yes.
So what's your growth plans for in the next 5 years? For instance, how many employees do you have now? And what do you project that'll be in a year, 2 years, then going on to 5 years?
So we started off with just one assistant.
Okay.
We've been in operation for the past, let's say, 10 months, right? With that, we've gone from one assistant to about 8 assistants.
Okay.
And a lot of it was the fact that we were in a smaller office, so we couldn't grow at the rate that we wanted to.
Right.
Just a couple weeks ago, we just opened up into this new office.
Okay.
So
That's
we're projecting,
where we are now.
exactly. So we're projecting to be at about 50 assistants by the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then within the next, several years down the road, we want to be able to provide more opportunity across Africa if possible. Right now, once again, you have to learn the land, and learn the system every time. But we do believe there's opportunity. There's a lot of, like the past couple of years, before, plane stopped, because of the whole, situation. Not as many people were open to the remote working and virtual working and these types of things. So now I think it's a little bit more, people are a little more comfortable or open to that type of opportunity or possibility.
Right.
So we see it as the structure that we've put together, the ability to create better working environment and opportunities for Africans or Ghanaians in this case, will allow us to now scale to other countries when that time comes.
Yeah, a lot of our clients are looking for ways for them to outsource certain tasks that they're doing, right? It creates a great opportunity for them to be able to get the work done at a cost-effective rate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, you hire Ghanaians.
Yes.
You take their services and you sell it to people abroad.
Yes.
Right. Now you have managed to earn a foreign currency while being in Ghana. I think that's a major aspect to your business model. Was that one of the reasons why you chose this business in particular?
The fact that we are earning a foreign currency and living here in Ghana, it just gives us the ability to provide a better opportunity for our assistants that are working here.
That's right.
Right? We can pay them at a very competitive rate.
Very important, especially considering what the CD did in the last year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Right.
It's kind of, it went pretty fast actually. It's shocking. You're like, how can this happen? But I don't know. I don't have answers for that really.
Right. All right. So, what about an exit strategy? Have you considered building this business to sell, or is this something that you want to pass down to your children? What's the plan for the future?
Well, so I think it's a bit of both, right?
Okay.
We have our children involved in the business. They would actually come into the office on Friday mornings, and they would actually do some trainings, right? Some team building exercises with our assistants, which makes it a very fun. It makes sure that the team itself has a certain level of synergy. Right? And it also has our children involved in the business. They get to know the assistants get to know them, right? But at the same time, we as business people, we understand that our children, we make the children, we don't necessarily make up their minds.
Exactly.
All right? So being able to build a business with a business structure and a business model where we can evaluate it, and also if somebody wants to buy it later on, it's an option.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And the system, like you said, they put in place will allow that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And also because when you're working on leadership, like everyone has an individual strength, you know, and the collective makes the system work. So you train and develop responsible leaders, right, that have invested interest with growing the organization because they see themselves growing, you know, with it. Man, it can run forever. Right? And as far as I'm concerned, if we look in North America, 95% of the business, you know, like it's businesses that are running it, and there's a bunch of employees that are working under it. So there's always going to be a need for support services. Now and 40 years down the line, as far as I'm concerned, unless they really change things up, but I don't see that happening. You know, anything can happen, of course, but definitely we want to be here for the long term, create a legacy that can be left, and if we ever had to exit, that opportunity is there as well.
Speaking of legacy, what is it how do you want to be remembered? What do you want to be remembered for?
We want to be remembered for our leadership, and the opportunities that we provided individuals. All right. We even at this point, during the holidays, we get messages from our assistants just expressing the gratitude that they have, the fact that we came out here, gave them work opportunities where they can now turn to their family members and say, they can put their family members through school and commit to these types of these types of endeavors.
Our clients as well, they see a solution to maybe some of their frustrations with running their business. Right? Now they can say, well, I can have a trusted partner with Wink to be able to provide some support services and help me, you know, gain the growth that they've been looking for or on the cusp of accomplishing. And that we can step in and help support their systems. You know, and you know, to come back to your question, you know, specifically, people need to know that when we sit down with them, they will be better because of it. Right? And that's the type of leadership that we always want to be able to showcase. How are you better because we had this conversation? How are you better because we had this interaction? Right? Take that and I'll go help others. Right? That's that win-win collective that we're constantly looking for.
Lovely. All right, so last but not least, what advice would you give to anyone coming to do business in Ghana?
Put on your big boy pants.
Definitely. Be prepared. Be prepared to pivot in that sense. You know, when one door opens or closes, be prepared to look for the window in that sense and look for another way to solve a problem. Right? I find as North Americans, we're very used to things happening a certain way.
That's right.
And we come with the mentality of, well, this is how it has to be. When with that mentality, you're sort of putting yourself in a box.
That's right.
Right? Where the point is to be able to come out here and see that the environment is more open. So step out of your box. Try think of different methods. If you can't think of it, speak to other people.
That's right.
Right? Seek the advice.
And don't allow the perception of what Africa, you know, is. Because when I was young, my family is Ghanaian, even though I was born in Toronto, but like, you know, like Africa is like, you're African, you know, like when you're young, they say things, right? So over time, that can leave, you know, like a taste or a feeling or a thought that, I don't know, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that. Ghana is absolutely not all the things you thought it was. Africa is not all the things you thought it was. The only real this you're going to see about Africa is when you go and experience it yourself. And come with that mind of, it's not North America. It's Africa. Or it's Ghana, or it's wherever you're going to be. And be able to adapt and work with the culture and the system. Don't put yourself in a box like Chantelle said. You want to open yourself up and allow yourself to move freely, you know, with confidence to say, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to do something. I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to develop myself. Because the person who you are today is not going to allow you to go there and be and get what you want. You have to become a better person in the process in order to get what you want. coming to Ghana, for example.
Perfect. I appreciate that information, that answer, and your openness.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's a wonderful example you're setting. I must state that one of the things that I observed in just seeing you before getting to know you is the joy that you both seem to exude always. It's contagious, and we enjoy having you around just because you bring that. So it's good to see and hear of your story and the process that it took to get you to where you are, both physically and mentally and spiritually. And we wish you the absolute best.
Oh, thank you very much for having us, Brother Rasta.
Madasi Pa.
Oh, you are dog. You know, we're working on our language as well, right?
So you don't speak Tree?
I don't speak Tree. My family's Ghana, and Ewe from Volta region. All right, so like I said, unfortunately, you know, you grew up in North America, and life is life. But we're here for a reason. We know where our roots lie. We know what we want to accomplish. And when we came here, we get a chance to see and meet brothers like yourself who have families and are living and look wonderful. Like, you know, it's important to know that we can too live here in Ghana and live a great life.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we thank you for the example that you set.
That absolutely. Definitely cleared the air for us.
Well, with that said, we are closing out this episode of Entrepreneur Circle. Brother Nate, Sister Chantelle,
Yes.
give thanks.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you.